youth enrichment program on the west side of Chicago, where we expose kids to different, teach them life skills, so on and so forth. So with that being said, I am just going to cut to the chase and let you guys know what's happening this month. This is October, which is Domestic Awareness, Cancer Awareness Month, and Tracy just told me it's
Arnold Chiari Awareness.
Arnold
Chiari.
I can't pronounce that. I got too many syllables in there. So I know you guys probably wondering, what is that? Well, guess what? Let me tell y'all this. I've been knowing Tracy forever. Just recently, we was doing karaoke together, right? And
yep.
So, I love to sing. People don't even know that I love to sing. I got this old soul. My grandmother used to take me to the lounge, and so I would play all the old songs, and so it's in my soul. So when they was doing karaoke, I'm like, I'm there. So Tracy got an amazing personality, as you guys can see, beautiful inside and out. And often they always say, people don't look like what they've been through, and she is an example. And so with that being said, I'm gonna Tracy is a survivor, and so I'm so happy first that she told me a small tad bit of her story prior to coming in, because I'd be on here crying, and so I'm overly emotional. People don't know that about me, but when it's time for emotions, I run out the room. I can't control my emotions, so if y'all see something, that just means it's hot in here and something got in my eye. Okay?
Right.
So with Domestic Violence Month, it's dear to me because I've experienced domestic violence on several occasions, and a lot of people don't know. And so I, for the most part, keep myself preoccupied. And so we all can dwell in what we got going on, but for the most part, we still have to keep pushing. We still have to be diligent. We still have to go towards whatever it is that God called us to do. And that's why you guys see me just moving, doing everything that makes me happy, in my happy place, because, there's a lot of things that I can sit back and dwell on and cause me to be in this dark space. However, that's not who I am. So with that being said, I'm going to let Tracy introduce herself, and then I got a couple questions for her. And we already know that what she say going to help a lot of people that's suffering silently in situations like this.
I hope so.
So Tracy, tell us who you are.
My name is Tracy, and actually I was born and raised on the west side of Chicago. Yes, west side. I have 2 children, 2 girls, and 2 grandchildren. My smile is radiant to people. People gravitate to me for my smile, but they have no idea what I've been through.
And
but
so
I smile.
Tracy was just at my birthday party, and what she's saying, I had no idea, because like she just said, her smile is contagious. She lights up a room, and her personality is awesome. Definitely somebody you would instantly just, magnetize yourself to. And so as things were going on, I heard Tracy say that she was soon going in for brain surgery. So I kind of stumbled back and said to myself, did she say brain surgery? So I went to the table, and she just gave a snippet of what she was going to brain surgery for. So Tracy, with that being said, now you're going to brain surgery for what?
From years of domestic abuse that I incurred almost 15 or 20 years ago.
So you was in an abusive relationship for 15 to 20 minutes. I'm sorry, I said 20 minutes.
Yeah.
15 to 20 years, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. So let me ask you this. Are you safe now?
I am safe.
Okay. So can you take us back to the beginning of the relationship? Because, typically when you meet people, they're overly nice.
Definitely.
And, everybody like, oh, this person is this. And I say all the time, people will put up their facade, but behind closed doors, people be somebody else. And, you guys gotta accept what people say when they're in these relationships. You know what I'm saying?
You really do. I'll start from the beginning of our relationship, and I won't mention any names. I was with a Chicago police officer. And that was one of the reasons I remained silent through my abuse. So starting off with the relationship, nice guy, everything you could want, very nice. And one day, I think we were just sitting at the kitchen table, and I think my phone rang. Or back then we had beepers. I'm sorry, we had beepers.
So give us the year. What year are we talking about?
1998.
Okay.
And I started dating him, and he looked over at the table, and he was like, so who was that? I was like, oh, I don't even know. I'll try and call back. And he's like, no, you should call back now. It's like, it's no big deal. And he aggressively got up from the table, And he grabbed me by my shirt and he said, if I ask you to do something once, it should be done. I shouldn't have had to ask you a second time. And I said, are you serious? I said, you actually grabbed my shirt? And he was like, you know what, let me stop. He was like, but let's not start this off like this. That was the first sign that I should have ran.
Let me
kicking
ask
myself in the butt.
How long were you in that relationship prior to this happening?
8 years.
So you were in 8. So this was the first. This was the first flag. The
yeah.
red flag, as we call it.
Red flag. Exactly. Wow. My second red flag was a little muff. And I say this to tell women these are the steps that they take to see how far they can go and what they can get away with. It'll be a muff to the head. It'll be a grab. Or it'll be a, hold you on your arm and squeeze you. Those were signs that I should have left because it only escalated. And I want to say maybe a year in, I had been done everything to us being locked in a room with a dog outside of the room, and he was trying to smell my clothes, so he was very aggressive to me. And he would leave the house and I would have to stay in a room. He would tell me, use the washroom before I leave the room, before I leave. And I had to do that. Nobody ever knew that I endured this abuse because I didn't want to include my family because, once again, he was a police officer. And I have experienced when I really didn't get help because of who he was. And I won't put the Chicago police, down like that. But at that time, I didn't cry for help because of who his title was. And we went on, years went on, and I never got facial punches or anything. I never got bruises to my face except one time. And we were sitting in a club, and he started talking to a female that I read directly in front of me. And I told him how disrespectful that was. I never knew what hit me. I thought maybe my nose was running. He hit and slapped me in the back, and I still have the cut right here. And so he said, I dare you to cry and embarrass me in this place. I literally took a napkin and put it up. Blood was everywhere. And he said, walk outside and get some air. I walked outside. I tried to walk to my car. And he came behind me. He said, you such an embarrassment to me. I said, you bust my lip in front of everybody. Now I have to go home and find a way to tell everybody how I bust my lip. So I would make up stories. I would have to go to the hospital for some of the bruises on me. And I would tell them that I fell out of the bed. I tripped down the stairs. They knew what was going on. But I want to tell young women, it's not love. My rejection started years ago as a child. I didn't grow up with my father. So I was kind of desperate for love. And even though I saw the red flags, I didn't want another man to abandon me. I wanted my love for my father. So men, if you're hearing this, you're a very important part in young ladies' lives. Let them know how they're supposed to be treated. But back to him, I had bruises all over my body. One of my worst cases was when I'm moving a little fast. He was a corrupt cop. And that was my chance to get away and get out. And so he told me that night, he said, I have nothing to live for. And I said, but we have kids. He said, well, they'll be taken care of. They'll be okay. And I said, but, my daughter don't have anybody else. I said, my daughter has me. And he was like, she got a father. He should be okay. And so he said, and I said, God, you can't do this. He said, well, let's just see how your God is. And he said, we'll do the best 2 out of 3. He turned the light off, and he had his gun. And he said, if you survive this, you can walk out. And I said, okay. So he said, you could pray, do whatever. So he said, I'll go first. He clicked the gun, and it didn't go off. And he said, okay, your turn. And he clicked the gun a second time. He said, wow, guess God does love you. Lucky you. He said, now it's my turn. And the gun didn't go off. And I said, can I please go? And funny note, I literally ran out of the house like Tina Turner did. I had no shoes on. I had a gown on, and I literally ran in my car, and I just ran away. And it was the worst 8 years of my life. And by suffering all the head traumas, he would put me to sleep in a sleep hole. He would put me to sleep, and I got put to sleep so much and falling everywhere that I would literally look at the clock to see what time I was getting put to sleep, like an anesthesia almost. And I would watch the clock to see what time, I was going to wake up. Well, as a result of that, I have what is called anarchiari. It's fluid and swelling on the brain. And now, with years down the line, I can't comb my hair. I've started to wear braids because I can barely. I'm left hand dominant, and I can't really comb my hair. I can't hold a pen and write because my brain literally sits on my spine. So they're gonna go in. I have brain surgery next week. They're gonna go in. They'll take a muscle out of my brain and 2 bones on the side of my neck so that my brain can breathe, basically. And I can't stress it enough to young women. It's not love. I promise you, it's not. That first sign of a muff like this, and I heard so many times, why you just didn't leave? You didn't have any kids by him. I hate to hear people say that to me.
So do I.
I hate to hear people say that to me. You don't think I wanted to leave? You actually think I wanted to endure the pain that I did? I tell people I got whooped 8 days a week. It's only 7 days a week. But that's what it felt like. And you really think that if I wanted to not leave, but you didn't have any kids. It's a mind game that they play you. He took my self-esteem away from me. Nobody wants to be with you. You'll never get anybody else. Look at you. So he had that control over my mind. My self-esteem was just gone. I was smaller than what I am now, and I was a pretty girl. Everybody would tell me, "You're beautiful. Why you doing this?" But he had my mind to think nobody else would want me. Nobody else is going to deal with the stuff that you've dealt with. And on top of that, I was afraid. He said, "Wherever you go, I can find you. I can literally make you disappear and nobody will know." I'm a police. I've seen crimes how they happen. What was I going to do? I stayed until that one day when he was arrested himself. That was my ticket out.
Sherry, I call you Sherry. Tracy, Sherry must be talking about me. Tracy, I appreciate you profusely for telling your story because you even brought back some things in my relationship. I also dated a cop, and so it's funny to hear you, not funny, but in a sense,
Exactly.
when you say that, people say, "Why didn't you leave?" And like she just said, you're dealing with an individual that could, who can tell on the police. Now, don't get it wrong, we're not saying the police are bad. We're just talking about isolated incidents. And so, same thing. And so, who can you tell on the police? I mean, when I was dating that cop, it took everything in me not to. I don't know. I was like she said, the same thing, the verbal. Yeah. Ain't nobody gonna want you. Who gonna believe you? And around everybody else is this pretty picture. And he put after we left, he put tickets on my car. He put a track on my car, and it was he stalked me, and it was the worst thing ever. And like you, I couldn't tell anybody. I mean, I told a couple individuals, and so. How do you it's hard to get out of something like that when you got people, in such power like that on your heels, you know what I'm saying? So I call it divine intervention, and that's why now, Tracy, I live my life like it's my last life because there was a time to whereas I couldn't do anything. I had to stay in the house. I had to go through the motions. I couldn't say this. I couldn't wear this. I couldn't do this. Everything was orchestrated. Okay, I had to do this. And I just thank God for bringing me out. And I'm happy to hear it. And see, that just shows me that the Lord will always put you in a place of like-minded people because I didn't know her story. You know what I'm saying? She didn't know my story. She see me moving and, give me accolades. And so, I'm just like, wow. Wow. So I appreciate you telling your truth.
I appreciate you having me. I appreciate you letting me tell this. Hopefully this will help somebody out there to know that that's just not love. It's just not. And for as hard as it is, you gotta have a plan because after that incident of him being arrested, that was I put on like a cape of bravery. I went and I got a restraining order. And he actually threatened me while I was inside the courtroom, and I played it for the judge as she was calling me up to ask me why I needed a restraining order. And he told me, he said, I'm out here by your car. Do you want when you leave from there, do you want to walk? You want to go back home in an ambulance, or you want to go to the morgue tonight? Which one do you want to do? He said, I suggest you leave out of that courtroom. And I was letting the judge hear that. She said, I will personally find you. She said, this is Judge such and such, but I will personally find you myself if you lay one hand on this young lady in front of me. She immediately gave me my restraining order.
And so after the restraining order, how was that? I mean, like what? Because
after the restraining order, so he knew someone at a phone company, and I won't mention them either. He knew someone at a phone company, and he gave them my phone number, and he went through the call log of every one of my phone. He called my bosses at my job. I was working for the city. I still work for the city of Chicago. He called my boss, and they called me in the office like, Tracy, I got a call last night, 3 o'clock in the morning, telling me that you're this and you're that. I won't even name the names, but you guys can imagine the names that I was being called. And every number that I had, most of my bosses, he called them, telling them that I was nothing, that I was the H word, the B word, and if the lady answered the phone or something, she would say, yeah, she's sleeping with your husband. And it was just to no term. And then I would see him following me. I was scared to go anywhere. And it didn't stop there. Even after that, I had moved on with a different relationship. He would literally carve his initials in my car to just let me know that he's still there and he's still around. He would leave little things to let me know that I'm not gone anywhere. I'm still here. Not until maybe 10 years ago it stopped. So it's still, after me leaving the relationship, the torture it still remained.
Even with the restraining order? Even
with the restraining order. He would just leave little messages to let me know, hey, I'm still around and I still see you. I'm still watching you. He would send me pictures of myself that he showed me, that he saw me, basically scaring me to let me know that he's never going to be out of my life. And it was hard. And I can actually say this. I cried a little bit, but I can actually sit here and tell my story, and it still gets to me, like with the relationships that I go into, it still kind of gets to me, because the first relationship after him, I wouldn't argue. I would just ball up and I would cry, and he goes, argue back, defend yourself. Why won't you say anything? If you think I'm wrong, then say something. I was so used to being hit.
Wow.
Whether I was right or wrong, or whether it was about him, I was going to get hit. So I didn't argue back. And he was like, you got to stand up for yourself. You're not in that relationship anymore. I didn't know how.
And so you do know that there are so many others out there that suffer from this very, very same thing. They're scared to get out, won't tell their story, and just going through the motions. And so it's rough out there.
You have to have somebody. I trusted my best friend, and I ran to her house literally in the middle of the night. She'd go open the door for your auntie. She'd tell her kids, you know Sheila. So she'll go open the door. Yeah, that was my sacred place. That's where I would run to. And she'd lock her door, and she'd sit up in the middle of the night and be like, I wish he would come over here.
Sheila ain't for none.
She was like, I don't care if he's a guy. I wish he would come over here. And he would put a club on my car so that I couldn't leave until he was ready for me to leave.
Wow. Thank you, Sheila, for being her physical protection, because that's important. You have to surround yourself with like-minded people, and for people that got your best interests at heart. And that's why I'm real guarded. I understand that everybody that's in your boat ain't rowing with you, Tracy. Everybody in your boat ain't rowing with you. Some people just in the boat to see where the boat going. Some people just in the boat to get what's coming in the boat, and some people in the boat to be nosy. And so once you decipher that, your life will be that much that much prosperous. The Bible gives me the gift of discernment. We all got it. And so it's nothing. Because of what I've been through, it's nothing for me to see what a person on before you meet me. I'm not real open to a lot of people, and nor am I real trusting. And so, again, that's why you see me doing all these things, that bring that bring light to me, or that kind of like stress relievers. And so, You gotta get out here and enjoy life and leave these people where they at, because there's some crazy people out there.
I just appreciate you so much for not only what you do in our community,
Oh, thank you.
but for just letting me get this out. My story has never been told to different people, young girls. I'll sometimes have a Woman's Day I used to have, but I truly appreciate you being a pillar in our neighborhood and in our community. I thank you.
Oh, well, with that being said, we thank CAN TV for giving me this platform, allowing me to bring guests on, Heavenly Sent People You Should Know. And so I thank my mother and my grandmother that's watching, that's critiquing me. I thank God for them being my support system, my son, my son's brother, my family, and my friends that support me. And, of course, God being the head of my life. Sherry, anybody you want to shout out? I keep calling you Sherry. Sherry talking about me. And that's only because I talked to Sherry earlier today and she was telling me about a domestic issue that she was going through.
Oh, wow.
I know, right?
Real quick, just a shout out to my family, which is my support system. They're everything. My best friend, Sheila Wilson, that's
Sheila.
my rock. And I have to give a shout out to my boyfriend, William Lewis, because I came with a lot of baggage, and this man has stuck it out with me, and I know it's a hard time for him sometimes, and I could have ran him out that door. It's been 11 years, and I could have ran him out that door, but we have our ups and downs, but he's still there for me, and I truly appreciate him, and my support system is my everything. So.
Well, you guys, that's Heavenly Sent People You Should Know. This is Domestic and Cancer Awareness Month, so I am looking for my next guest. I know the Lord going to send them to me just like he did Tracy. Again, Tracy, I appreciate you. I'm glad
appreciate you.
That God walked you out of that situation. Keep smiling, and I'm ready to hang out prior to your
my surgery. Yes,
I know it's going to be a success.
Yes.
So, again, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.